Welcome to the Highline Herd podcast, where we dive deep into the world of horses and the people who love them. Join us for new episodes every Sunday as we explore everything from horse care, riding tips, and anything else equestrian related. To keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Highline Herd. I'm Skylar.
I'm Shelby.
And today we're going to be talking about how do you plan for trips?
Yeah, we're going to cover planning for trips, lists, checking your vehicles, checking your list multiple times. Honestly, we'll probably say the word lists a lot in this episode.
Yeah, lists generally help out and they'll save you quite a bit. It's a great way to just kind of put everything down in one spot and know, okay, I have to make sure I get all of these items. I have to make sure I do all of this before I go out and do something else.
Yeah, and when we say you check them multiple times, it's like you make your list well in advance of your trip, and then in the weeks leading up, you keep going back to that list, see if you need to add, subtract. And then, as you're loading the vehicle, you're checking your list. And then as you're unloading your vehicle, you're checking it again. Yeah, the lists are really going to be what helps you and is your saving grace if you follow them, if you check them multiple times.
Yes. And when we talk about, planning for a trip, this isn't just necessarily like a camping trip. It could also be for a trail ride. It could be for going over to a friend's farm or a show, anything of the sort.
Right. I mean, planning for a trip when you've got horses, even driving 10 minutes down the road to do an hour cross-country run, there's certain things you want to make sure you have in place. There's certain things you want to make sure you have in your trailer, you have on hand if you need them, because we all know what it's like to be in a situation and not have what you need.
Yeah, it's not fun.
No, it leads to some interesting fixes.
Yeah, you got to get creative sometimes, and sometimes people will look at you a little strangely because of it.
Yeah, and I mean, I would like to say most people are friendly enough if you're at a competition or a show, or if you're going to a lesson, to loan you tack if you forgot a piece, but not everybody's going to carry the size you need. My guy wears a 36-inch girth, and I went to a quarter barn and I was like, crap, I don't have a girth. Did any of your cow ponies have something that fits? It worked for that lesson, but...
Yeah, there was a lot of times that I saw personally when I worked at a horse campground. There was oftentimes a lot of people who came and they forgot one or two things back that were, essential pieces of their trail gear. And they would go around the campground and be like, hey, does anybody have this spare item or something similar to it that we can kind of MacGyver into what we need? And 9 times out of 10, people at the campground were like, actually, yeah, I got something that might work. And that was really cool to see. But if you don't want to be in that position yourself, running around, scrambling, trying to find something that works,
exactly,
list will help you out.
And, we all know what it's like. Like, they're calling for your class, you're up next, you've got to be in the ring in 2 seconds ago. And you're scrambling trying to find reins or, a white saddle pad or your jacket because you forgot it. Sometimes people aren't going to have what you need or they're not going to be willing to spare it. So making sure you have a list will be your saving grace and making sure you check it. And sometimes, we overlook things on the list, but that's why you tend to dig through your trailer and really make sure you put hands on everything before you haul out. So that's the first thing is when you talk about planning a trip, that's the first thing you do. Mm-hmm. First thing you do when you plan a trip, okay, what do I need? Let's make a list. Let's go through the list. And then, again, you're going to add and subtract if you make it in early enough advance.
Yeah, expand upon things as stuff changes.
Exactly. And, that's just what do you need? What do you need to bring? What does your horse need you to bring? What does your dog need you to bring? Again, even if you're 10 minutes down the road for an hour lesson, you still have some things you want to keep on hand.
Mm-hmm.
First aid kit, tack, extra tack if something breaks.
Yeah.
So,
well, And you can even make you can make multiple lists too. You can make the essentials, things that you absolutely cannot go without, and you can make a backup list, things for replacement items or extra gear.
And well, that's actually something we do. So on one of our apps we use for messaging and organizing things, we actually have multiple lists. We have one for the humans, we have one for all of our camping gear, we have one for the horses. And if we start camping with the dogs, we'll have one for the dogs.
Yeah. And then we have a huge list which kind of compiles all of those things together, with any additional things that might be needed. And it's a huge help when we're planning for even just our little camping trips, just to try to get everything situated, figure out how things function, and get into the groove.
Right. When even where we're practicing, even when we're making sure we have everything, we're still making a list, we're still checking a list, we're still putting hands on everything. And honestly, the amount of times we've forgotten things just when we're practicing, just when we're trying to go through, we'll forget something.
Yeah.
But you know what? The benefit to that is we're currently still on home property, so it's an easy fix.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like these mistakes, quote unquote, those are teaching us. They're learning experiences of, okay, don't do this. We need to do better next time, or we need to bring X next time.
Right. Like, we're really, really bad about packing food. For the animals, they're great.
Oh, yeah. Not for the animals. For the people. For us. We are bad at packing food.
Yeah, we'll leave with like 2 extra hay bales, but the humans, well, we were living off peanut butter for the last 3 days. Like, we kind of forgot to feed ourselves.
Yeah. But, it's fine. The animals are the most important
Exactly. Making sure they've got food and water, they're good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Humans, bottom of the priority list.
Exactly.
Honestly. So.
Yep. Now, of course, we're saying this all as a jest. You got to take care of yourself as well for whatever you're doing, because you're a crucial part to taking care of your animal.
Yeah, if you're not there, who's gonna coddle them and attend to every one of their little triggers or sensitivities, or who's gonna give them who else is gonna know that one particular cookie they really like?
Yeah, exactly.
So, making lists, doing your trial runs, make sure you're good to go, all very, very important. But how do you make that list? How do you know what to put on that list? So, where are you going? When you're planning a trip, you gotta think about where you're going.
Yes, and not just the location, but like the facility. Are you going to be at a very heavily trafficked area? Is there going to be a lot of commotion, a lot of horses, a lot of riders, a lot of stuff going on that maybe might trigger your horse? Are you going to be going to a campground where there's going to be a lot of different animals and things happening?
Are there going to be stores in case you do forget something that will carry food, tack, emergency supplies?
Mm-hmm.
Are there going to be stores that can carry, farm stuff, bedding, feed, all of that? Do you have somewhere where you could buy an extra bale of hay if you needed it?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at where you're going, you're not just looking at the site and the facilities, Yeah, if they have a cabin or stalls, great. But what else is around that site? Because Hocking Hills is fairly remote. There's one store close to the campsite where you can get stuff, and even then, it's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, it's limited on what you can actually get.
It really is. So, like, if we forgot feed, our guys would just have to be living off hay.
Mm-hmm.
And if we forgot hay, where are we going to buy hay up there? So,
yes.
When you're looking at what you want to do and how to plan for your trip, taking into consideration where you're going is crucial. Not just because of the site and the facilities, but also what's the weather?
Yeah, weather and terrain. Those are some big ones as well. If it's, and of course, weather is unpredictable. Things can change, things can happen that wasn't on the radar. So it's good to kind of have a way to keep up to date for any possible storms rolling in or any shifts in the weather itself. It's just helpful all the way around. And when it comes to terrain, kind of get an idea or gauge the area that you're going to be in. Say you are trail riding. You'll want to know if it's going to be hilly, if it's going to be kind of muddy, what footing that your horse is going to be.
Right. Does it dry out really easy? Is there a lot of road riding? You know, if you're hiking, is it going to be, like Skylar said, is it going to be a lot of hills, a lot up and down? Because I know for me, my cardiovascular system has no issues with hills, but I've got a bad leg. I've got to watch if I go places that are super hilly that I pace myself. Same with my horse. He gets a sore stifle, so I keep an eye on him when we road ride, that doesn't agitate his stifle too much.
Yeah.
Because had I known Hocking Hills was going to be so much road riding, I would have put shoes on him from the get-go.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say Hocking is a lot of road riding. It's just the ways that we decided to go back from the trail instead of spending hours going back the way that we had come. We decided to cut that short and go on the roads.
Yeah.
And that was, us choosing that.
That was our choice, but it was also hard road riding. It wasn't super easy.
No.
We rode him fairly hard back to the campsite. So, but that's just what you got to do. Are you going to have to ride on roads? Does your horse like road riding? You know? Some horses don't like cars.
Yeah.
And where we were, the drivers were not very considerate.
No. Well, and they weren't educated either. A lot of them were tourists who had no idea or who had never seen a horse in person before. So they were always like, what? Yeah.
So, yeah, you're going to want to research the weather, the sites, the people, if you can, any rules or requirements, because different sites have different requirements. Different areas, different counties have different rules and expectations. Every part, regardless of if you're hiking, camping, or trail riding, might have different expectations for how how your trail etiquette is, how you pack in or pack out.
Yep.
Some places are really particular. You've got to clean up after yourself, after your dog, after your horse. So make sure you're doing the research on all of that too.
Yeah. I mean, and it's always a good rule of thumb is clean up after yourself and your animals in general. Just keep it cleaner than when you showed up if you can.
Yeah. And obviously that's the best way to do it. Sometimes, I will say, it's not always possible. Some places don't always provide, an easy access trash can or dumpster, or they don't empty it very often.
Yeah.
So just do the best you can. If you're willing to, drop it at the next gas station or something.
Yeah.
Like, truly, if you can, leave it cleaner than you found it, because the only way we're going to be able to maintain these activities
is if we take care of it.
Yeah. Is a group effort of care and maintenance.
Yeah. Something that I saw too a lot working at the campground is a lot of folks would just kind of chalk it up to, oh, well, they have people working there that'll take care of it. And it was a little bit of a pain when you had situations like that, because you had to take extra time out to go clean up after these people and their horses or their dogs and make sure that the site is ready for the next folks coming in so that they didn't arrive and have a mess to clean up. So it's courteous. It's a nice thing to kind of do, and it helps maintain the environment and these systems in place.
Exactly. So, whether you have stalls at a show or a campsite, whether your horse is corralled or tied, throw the manure back in your trailer, or if they've got a manure pile, clean it up and dump it. Because like Skylar said, there's already so many tasks that, show managers, barn managers, campsite managers are doing. It's just an extra piece of courtesy and consideration to do your part so that the managers can keep the shows as nice as they want to do.
Well, and it helps everybody in the long run.
It really does, because other people can come in and they don't have to be like, oh, I've got to clean up before I can unload. And, maybe their horse has been on the trailer for 5 hours. And, they want to get their horse off. Their horse wants to be off, but now they've got to clean up the site. Or they have to clean out the stall, right?
It helps things run a lot more efficiently.
It really does. And I know a barn manager personally who, if she had to go out and take care of stalls after every single show, she'd never be able to maintain her arena. She'd never be able to keep that footing as nice as it is.
Yeah.
So, we want to be happy. We all want to have fun. That's great, but we all got to do our part. So that's, you want to make lists. You want to make sure you understand the facilities you're going to. You want to respect the facilities you're going to.
And even if you're not going to a facility, whatever you bring in with you, try to bring it out too.
Yep. Don't let the mark you leave be your breath, not your trash.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So, that's kind of the basics. That's kind of your foundation. So once you've got your lists, once you've figured out where you're going and what you want to do, let's look at your animals. Let's look at your vehicles. Let's look at your money. Like, have you budgeted? Have you planned accordingly for what you may or may not need to buy? Do you like to get souvenirs? I know for one, I love to get souvenirs.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, even just a small little knickknack. Yeah, they're usually overpriced, but you know what? I like the memory. I like the sentiment of it.
Yeah.
So those are a couple more things. So let's jump to animals.
Yeah. So animal prep is, again, one of the main things that you need to do. You need to make sure that your animal is in a condition where they can travel or they can do whatever you are planning to do. Now, whether that be trail riding, showing, just putting around at somebody else's property, all of that. You got to make sure that your horse is able to do that.
Yeah, you want to make sure they're sound, they're in shape, they're fit for it. If they need shoes, they're shoed.
Mm-hmm.
If they need special shoes, they've got them. Like, reiners really like to use sliders.
Yeah.
So, make sure your horse has those sliders on if that's the stop you're looking for. Cross-country riders, eventers will use studs on their shoes. So, are those good to go? Is your horse fit? Hills are hard work.
Oh, yes.
Switch balancing, constantly shifting that weight from forward to back, going down hills, around curves, over rocky terrain. Is your horse in shape for that? Are you in shape for that? Because it's not just hard on your horse, it's hard on you because you're trying to balance yourself and your horse. You're trying to not interfere with your horse's balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be a couple instances where your horse is on their own because you've got to shift your weight in such a way to avoid getting hung up on a tree.
Exactly. Yeah, and those are all just really important things that you need to pay attention to and really look at your horse from a perspective of, okay, what do we need to improve upon right here and right now?
Exactly. And, if it's just a matter of building muscle and balance, great. Increase their workload little by little until they're where you feel they're comfortable enough to take that trail.
Yes.
And honestly, the goal is for the trail to be easy, not a challenge.
Well, and another thing, too, is you want to ease into getting them back into shape if anything needs to be changed or altered or they need to be worked up to where they were before.
Exactly. I mean, muscle mass and weight will affect your girth fit. It will affect your saddle fit.
Mm-hmm.
It will affect whether or not your breast collar sits right if you use one. Heck, you might have used one bit or specific bridle last year, and now this year your horse may have a tooth issue and you need to adjust.
Yeah.
So animal prep really, it's pretty involved, but it will ultimately make or break the trip.
Yeah, and adding on to the animal prep, because this is a part of it, like you had just said, make sure your equipment is good too.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this all the time. You always want to make sure that your equipment is functioning properly. There's not anything. Now, of course, anything can happen. Things can malfunction. But if you take the steps,
leather breaks.
Exactly. If you take the steps to maintain it, kind of keep an eye if you know something is a little bit, maybe it has a little bit of a scratch or a tear in it, and it could be more susceptible to break or snap. Just be prepared for that to possibly happen.
Right. And, again, leather breaks. So, you could be squeezing through a tight spot and your stirrup gets hung up or your breast collar gets hung up or your bridle, and it could break. Mm-hmm. Are you prepared for that eventuality on the trail?
Yeah.
Are you prepared for that at a show? I mean, I've seen how low some of those horses hold their heads. If they step on that rein and break their head stall, are you prepared for that for the next class?
Mm-hmm.
So, going into prep, you're checking your equipment. But one thing we almost missed, vet records.
Yes. See, we can make as many lists as you want, and you can still forget about things. But yes, vet records are a really, really big factor into it. First of all, if you're going to be traveling anywhere, you have to have a Coggins. You should probably, it's very, very recommended to at least have them up to date on their shots so that, they're less susceptible to contract diseases or anything from other horses.
Well, in traveling state lines, I know certain states you are subject to pullover and searches. They are allowed to legally demand your horse's vaccine records, just because they want to make sure that you're not bringing anything into the state they need to be concerned about.
Yep.
Every state has different, prevalence of diseases because the temperatures are different, the humidity's different, the biomes are different. So, bear in mind that you might be subject to be pulled over and asked to display, proof of Coggins, proof of negative Coggins, proof of vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one vaccine that I will always, always, always give my horses. Is it required by most facilities? No. Should it be, in my opinion?
Yeah.
Yes. Strangles.
Mm-hmm.
It is so contagious, I'm not taking the risk.
Yeah.
And obviously a vaccine is not a bulletproof shield.
No, it's not.
But it's helpful. And
Yes.
it gives peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a facility owner, any horse coming in will be required to not only have their negative Coggins, but a strangles vaccine.
Yeah.
So, when you're traveling with your horse, whether it's 10 minutes away to a friend's farm, 10 minutes away to a lesson, to a trainer's facility, to a show, to a campground, be aware. They're more than likely going to ask for your Coggins and vaccine records.
Yes. And if they don't, maybe that's something you bring up, because it's something that everybody should do, and most facilities and facilitators will ask you, but there's the odd case where some people don't.
Some people don't. I do have one arena manager I am on friendly terms with. She does not ask me for proof of vaccination because she trusts me to have it. But do I always have it on hand in case she asks? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Because just as much as I want that peace of mind, she deserves it too, that I'm not bringing anything into her facility.
Yeah. And even too, when you are traveling with your horse, you can also have backup paperwork as well. Keep backup in your truck and keep backup in your trailer so that you at least have something at one location wherever you need it for easy access.
Exactly. And you know what? God forbid something happens on the road. God forbid there's an accident. But, having those records to give to an emergency hauler or an emergency vet can be so, so helpful for your horse. And for you, you're not trying to, manage the insurance company, manage, police reports, and manage where's your horse going. Is the vet going to be able to provide them all the necessary information because they'll already have it?
Yep.
So, that's your animal prep. Checking your tack, checking your animal's health, checking that their records are up to date, checking that they are in shape and sound and healthy to tackle whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Now, another big one is your vehicle and your trailer, if you have a trailer.
Exactly, yeah. So, your vehicle. So, are your tires good to go? Is your truck rated to haul what you want to haul? Is your trailer in shape for it? Do all the lights work? Do your brakes work? Is the floor good? I have heard so many horror stories of trailer floors. I know someone personally, and they didn't expect it. Their trailer floor didn't have any wobble to it, like it didn't flex. It just, something came up from the highway and went through the floor, but their horse put their foot through it.
Oof.
Yeah, so check your trailer floors.
Yeah.
I have wood floors with mats over them. That helps immensely limit if something did break the floor from underneath.
It's just another barrier
the mat
that something
helps,
would go through.
Yeah. Trailer brakes. Always, always, always make sure your trailer brakes are in shape because, believe me, unless you are hauling a bumper pool with a semi, horses are live animals. They act like water. They move behind you. They affect your trailer's movement, how your trailer stops. Mm-hmm. My guy has a tendency to not help me out and just throws his weight wherever the trailer throws him.
He flops.
He really does. So when I stop, my trailer pushes me more than it typically would because he is not helping. So I have to make sure my trailer brakes are working so I can stop and effectively.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're making sure your lights work so people can see you at night, people can see your turn signals. You want to make sure your truck is rated to pull what you want to pull.
That's a big one.
It really is. You don't want to blow an engine or a transmission, 100 miles from home.
Oof. Yeah.
You don't want to blow a tire on either one of your vehicles, whether it's the trailer or the truck, 1,000 miles from home.
Yep.
You don't want to be in the middle of nowhere, going, oh, I don't have a spare. I don't have a way to change a spare if I had a spare. And there's, no dealership, nobody around to help me for miles.
I mean, and I even have a little horror story of when I was hauling my horses. I wasn't pulling, my father was. He was hauling. And the vehicle on the opposite side of the road coming towards us, a tire came off from their trailer and was bouncing on the road straight towards us. And we had our horses in the back. We had 4 horses in the back. And thank goodness nothing happened. But I mean, situations like that,
you can't control.
You can't control, and things can happen. But if you take the precautions and just kind of check over your equipment, make sure everything's good to go.
Right.
It helps prevent stuff like that.
And practice drives.
Yes.
If you know you're going somewhere and you know you're going to have ample turnaround space when you get there, taking your trailer out for a spin with you just to get used to the feeling of it, just to get used to the turning radius, just to make sure everything's responsive and you know how to handle it in different situations is great. I had a situation recently. I had hauled my guy down to Kentucky. 2 hours. It's a 2-hour drive there, 2-hour drive back. I had hauled him down. I was on the way home. We were on a bridge, so extra wind. I went to pass a semi. I got caught between the wind from the bridge and the semi's tailwind and my whole rig. I drive a little Colorado with a little 2-horse bumper pull. Even with Valor in there, there's not a whole lot of weight holding us to the road. So we took up 3 lanes as I'm trying to get control of my vehicle so nothing flips, we don't hit anybody, but it took 2 or 3 lanes of traffic, and it took a good minute for me to get everything back under control. But because I was able to maintain composure, the situation did not escalate.
Yeah.
Because much like driving on ice, if you jerk while you're pulling a trailer, you run a great risk of flipping one or the other, whether it's your truck or the trailer. You risk jackknifing yourself and having everything just rip and spin you.
Yeah.
So, make sure you are prepared for those eventualities, not just your equipment.
And it never hurts when you are practicing hauling. Practice empty first.
Absolutely.
Add
always.
Horses later. Once you're comfortable hauling something empty, you'll do a little bit better with animals.
Yeah. Animals, I'm not going to lie, I pooled myself. I don't have the same driving anxiety Skylar does, so, when we travel, I'm the one hauling. I'm the one pooling. So, I can 100% sit here and say from personal experience, you can practice empty as many times as you want. You will never fully remove the added stress and pressure of having live animals behind you.
You got your babies back there.
Exactly.
You gotta take care of them.
And when I drive with myself, I barely pay attention to other people unless they're doing something stupid around me. Cutting me off, speeding, weaving, whatever. I try to ignore them for the most part. But when I got my horses behind me, I'm watching everybody around me on that road. I'm trying to take in everything I can because I cannot react the same with a trailer full of horses that I can empty and that I can without a trailer at all.
And I think that's a lot, a big issue that stems from that is people don't understand what it is like to haul.
They don't. They really don't understand. Again, my rig is small. But I still need a good amount of space to stop safely. And, if people have more weight than I do, say they have a 3-horse bumper pull, a 4-horse gooseneck, a 6-horse, they need even more space. They've got even more weight they're taking into consideration. And reality is, like we've mentioned, things happen. You may have checked everything beforehand, but, in the process of driving, a wire could have come loose. A rock could have hit something, and you may not have trailer brakes. You are just going to be braking with everything your truck has and a hope and a prayer, and then you're going to need even more space.
Yep.
So you've really got to take into consideration, are you comfortable with those situations if they arise?
Yeah, and how do you react to situations like that?
And honestly, if you handle the situation perfectly and need to pull over and have a little breakdown for a good 15 minutes,
do it.
Do it.
It's okay.
It really is. Driving is stressful. Driving your horses is even more so because you can't control other people.
No.
And people truly do not understand the space you need to stop, the space you need to merge, the space you need to react. People don't realize.
And if this is something that maybe you don't realize too, have somebody haul you around. Get in the back of the trailer, stand where your horse would stand, and have them take turns nice and easy, and have them take turns a little bit more rough. One of the tack owners at a little shop that we visit, he was explaining a story to us about showing his grandson what it's like to be in the horse's position. And, that just made me think, a lot of people don't get that. They don't understand what the horse goes through inside those trailers, especially if we take a turn too sharp,
No, and, that's actually one of the things people advise. They're like, your horse doesn't like loading? Ride in the trailer. Make sure it's not overly noisy. Make sure there's not flex in the floors that you don't realize with it stationary.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure there's not debris flying in. Because mine's a stock style, so the sides are open, right about the horse's head level. So, I can't help debris on the roads, and it'd be very probable and reasonable for them not to want to load if things are hitting them in the face every time. So, don't be afraid to have someone pull you in the trailer so you can understand all of it. And don't be afraid to pull a trailer yourself, even if you don't plan on hauling. Just having the idea in your mind of how difficult it is to actually haul.
Yep.
And how much respect you need to have. So that's that. You make your lists, you check them, you figure out where you're going, you go, you make sure your animals are all good to go, you make sure your vehicle's all good to go. But did you think about your finances?
Yeah, I was gonna say finances. That's a big one. Make sure you have money on hand, whether that be cash, which is probably better in the long run of things, but at least you have something where if an emergency situation comes up, or maybe you need to buy extra hay or bedding wherever you are, even food or clothes, souvenirs, things like that.
So when you're planning your finances for a trip, you need to take into consideration the cost of your stay. Whether you're renting stables, primitive campsites, cabins, a layover spot, take into consideration the cost of all of that. Take into consideration the cost of, how much is it going to cost to buy food for you in that area?
Mm-hmm.
Because, some trips it's easier just to buy food when you get there than try and pack it.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to afford food when you get there? Do you have enough money set aside for emergencies? Because I will say personally, even if you have money in your bank account, even if you look at your bank account and you see $5,000 set for your checking account and you only need $1,000 to get through, your weekend trip, having at least $100 of cash on hand is a great cover.
Yeah.
Because not every place takes card, even in this day and age. And if you're going somewhere more remote, it's the chances increase that they don't take card.
Yeah.
Or that they have, electrical issues where, sometimes they take cards, sometimes they can't. So, I know Skylar said cash is good, but, I would highly encourage you to carry cash.
No, I definitely recommend it. It's just not a lot of people do carry cash right now, so.
No, but I've been to places where they don't take card.
Mm-hmm.
Either their system shut down or they just don't have the system and they don't take card.
Yep.
And not all souvenir shops take card because it's just a little mom and pop shop on the corner.
Yeah.
So, but that's money set aside for souvenirs, but if you have an emergency, tires aren't cheap.
No.
Truck or trailer, those tires are not cheap.
Well, and speaking of vehicles too, gas. Factor in gas. Are you gonna have to?
Because we're looking
load
at
up multiple times.
What, $500-$600 just in gas for our trip to Washington?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you got to take into. You're not just looking at food. You're not just looking at emergencies of fixing a window or a tire. Do you have enough money to pay for gas to get there? Because gas prices are higher along the highway, and every state's going to have different levels.
Mm-hmm.
Some states are going to be cheaper, some states are going to be more expensive, and gas will always be more expensive right off the highway.
Yeah.
So, are you prepared for that? So, you're looking at your budget for your trip. You're looking at, do you have everything together for your animals? Are you budgeted to pay for your animals to be up to date? Are you budgeted to fix your vehicle if it needs fixed before the trip?
Yeah.
Are you prepared if, say the site you booked, the cabin you booked, the stalls you booked aren't available?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a backup in mind?
It's always good to have a backup.
If, if it's a trip you have to make, do you have a backup trailer? Do you have a backup vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
So, when you're looking at planning a trip, like, make a list, because as we've talked about here, you are going to be checking it and revising it and updating it and adding and subtracting. And even though you check it 1,000 times, there will be things it's inevitable. There will be something you miss.
Yeah.
Because, even in what we've covered in this episode, you could probably go into way more depth on some of this stuff.
I was going to say, you can still probably talk about this for hours.
Right. Like, you want to really get into the nitty-gritty of vehicles and engines and transmissions and...
Yep.
Yeah. Do you want to pay a mechanic to give your vehicle a full health rundown before you travel? Like, that's something to factor into your budget if you decide to do it.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a trailer guy come out and give your trailer a once-over? Like... There are so many things to factor into when planning a trip, and by no means is this a comprehensive 100% complete list.
No.
And honestly, I do think we kind of glossed over a lot of it, but we wanted to get in as much as we could.
Yeah.
Because we really, trips are supposed to be fun. They're not supposed to be stressful. They're supposed to be good experiences for you and your furry friends.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Well, and because of that, of course you want to make everything fun. Doing all the preparation beforehand and having it ready to go so that you just pack and go.
Yes.
It'll save you time and it'll make it a little bit easier.
Absolutely, it will. So, yeah. Obviously, if you guys have any questions or something you want us to touch on a little bit more, ask away. We are available at
thehighlineherd.com and on social media at thehighlineherd. We hope you enjoyed this week's topic. Join us for new episodes every Sunday. And to keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next week.